Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
What is going on, Detroit Lions fans? Welcome back to Detroit Done 313. Flying solo today while Will handles some personal matters. He will be back. All is well. Show him some love in the comments. Got an absolute banger for you today, and it came from a viewer question that genuinely made me stop and do some homework. Because this topic is more interesting than I initially gave it credit for. Steve317, fantastic name, 10 out of 10, asked about the Lions drafting Brandon Sorsby in the supplemental draft, what round it would take, and whether a first-round pick could get him done. Let us break this down from the ground up because most fans are not deeply familiar with how the supplemental draft actually works. And understanding the mechanics matters enormously before getting to whether the Lions should pull the trigger. The NFL supplemental draft is not a standard draft. There is no set order, no pick slot, none of the familiar structure you associate with the April event. It is essentially an auction. Any team that wants Sorsby submits whatever draft pick they are willing to sacrifice, and whoever bids highest wins the rights to the player while forfeiting that corresponding pick in the following year's draft. So if the Lions submit a third-round bid, and that is the highest offer across the league, they lose their 2027 third-rounder and gain Sorsby. If another team goes higher with a second or a first, that team wins the auction, and Detroit is left empty-handed. The last supplemental draft was back in 2019, so this does not happen often, but the process has produced notable players historically. Terrell Pryor and Josh Gordon both came through the supplemental process and went on to have significant NFL moments despite complicated personal situations surrounding their exits from college football. Now let us talk about who Sorsby actually is, because this is where the conversation gets genuinely interesting. He started his college career with the Indiana Hoosiers, transferred to Cincinnati, then Texas Tech. The reason he was not in the 2026 NFL Draft is because of a gambling violation. He was caught betting on Indiana games while he was a student athlete there, which is the specific situation that raises the most serious questions because it involves wagering on games he was directly participating in. The NCAA found itself asking the obvious integrity question. Was he betting against his own team? Was he shaving points? Could he have influenced outcomes? That is a more serious category of concern than simply placing bets on other games. And it is why the NCAA ruled he could not return for another season. He has applied for the supplemental draft as his only remaining path into professional football. The career statistics are genuinely compelling once you get past the off-field history. 60 career touchdowns against only 18 interceptions across his college career. 27 touchdowns and only 5 interceptions in his 2025 season at Cincinnati. A dual-threat profile that has accumulated 1,300 rushing yards and 22 rushing touchdowns over 4 college seasons. Listed at 6'3" and 230 pounds, running projected times in the 4.5 to 4.6 range at the quarterback position, which is legitimate athleticism at that size. After doing the film study that this question demanded, the honest assessment is that Sorsby is a damn good quarterback. Better than the gambling headlines would lead you to assume before you actually watch him play. The production is real. The athleticism is real. The dual threat capability is real. The knocks are also real and worth acknowledging honestly. His footwork needs work. His accuracy through tight windows needs refinement. His ability to go through his reads and progressions at the speed the NFL demands needs development. None of those things are deal breakers. They are coachable developmental issues that quarterbacks improve through proper coaching and repetition, but they are the reasons he is not an obvious first-round talent entering a professional setting. You cannot coach athleticism. You can coach footwork, accuracy, and read progression. The foundation is there. The comparison names floating around, Zach Wilson, Drew Lock, feel inaccurate and undersell what Sorsby brings athletically. Without wanting to make a specific comparison that could age poorly, the honest observation is that when I watch his film, I see more than those names suggest. Now to the actual question, what should Brad Holmes do here, and how high should Detroit be willing to bid? The answer requires thinking through two connected questions simultaneously. First, where does Sorsby rank relative to the 2027 NFL Draft quarterback class? Because that is the pick being forfeited. The 2027 class is expected to be strong, with names like Arch Manning potentially entering the picture alongside other highly touted prospects. Where does Sorsby rank against that group? Honestly, right now in June, before diving fully into 2027 prospects, he probably grades somewhere in the 3rd to 4th quarterback range of that class. That means the Lions would be trading a 2027 draft pick that could conceivably be used on someone in Arch Manning's tier for a player who grades somewhere below that tier. The quarterback situation in Detroit does need to be addressed beyond the Jared Goff era, whether Goff plays out his contract and possibly beyond or not. Having a legitimate heir developed in the building is responsible organizational planning. Teddy Bridgewater's future beyond this season is unclear. Luke Altmaier is not a franchise quarterback. The Lions need a quarterback of the future, and that question becomes pressing within the next 5 years regardless of how the Goff era plays out. But here is the honest conclusion on the bid price, not a first-round pick. Not comfortable with a second either. The sweet spot is a 3rd or 4th, with a 4th being the most defensible position. The risk of a first is too significant given the potential downside scenario. What if the 2026 season goes sideways? What if the Lions end up with a top 10 pick they need for something else? And that pick is already gone for a player who still needs significant mechanical development and carries genuine off-field risk, given that the gambling violation specifically involved wagering on games he played in. A 3rd or 4th round bid acknowledges that Sorsby has real talent and real upside while limiting the downside exposure appropriately. Whether a bid that low actually wins the auction is a separate question. Realistically, if multiple teams believe in this player, a 2nd round pick is probably where the market clears. But for Detroit specifically, given the richness of the 2027 draft class and the specific nature of Sorsby's history, keeping that 1st round pick available for what next year's class might bring is the prudent position. The July 10th private workout is the real evaluation moment. If Brad Holmes is in the room that day and Sorsby absolutely lights it up, if everything on the film holds up and the mechanics look more polished than expected and the athleticism is undeniable in person, that might change the calculus. But as of today, with the information available, a 3rd or 4th round commitment is the right level of interest. Enough to take a legitimate shot at a talented player who made a young person's mistake at 18. Not enough to mortgage a meaningful piece of a potentially excellent 2027 draft class. Let me know in the comments what round you would be willing to bid, whether you think Holmes should be in that workout on July 10th, and if you want to answer the tiebreaker question for multiple 1st round bids, because I genuinely have not seen a definitive answer on that one. Hit that like button, show Will some love, and I will be back later with another one.
Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.